Okay, so we're going to be taking out the coil packs just to show how you take them out, especially with all the old plugs and harnesses and everything in there. We've removed the coil pack cover because that can actually trap a lot of heat in there. So if you're worried about coil packs going bad, that can apparently be one of the reasons, is that, you know, if you're clamping this down and it's in between two cams, all the heat trapped in there can really end up frying your coils. So first off, with this pipe here, a factory one that's been on the car forever is usually rock hard, absolutely brittle. You don't really ever want to touch it, but if yours is rock hard, you're gonna want to run hot water, like boiling hot water, over this rubber until it's somewhat soft so that you can get it off. But this has been changed in the last few years. You can tell it's just perfect, so it'll come off easy, which is totally fine. So got that off. Just going to be taking this top pipe off, disconnecting vacuum lines, and then we'll be able to have access to the coil pack. Okay, so all of that is off. Now with the coil packs, they're all screwed into two brackets. Some people make the mistake of actually undoing the screws to each individual coil and pulling the coil through the bracket. But really all you need to do is undo 7 bolts that hold both brackets in. So you just need a 12mm. Now with this one at the very back, the last bolt, you have to take note that there is an earth or ground wire. So when you take that bolt out, you have to make sure that when you put it back, that you actually put that earth back. Now, with removing the coil packs, what a lot of people will do and think they have to do is actually remove the plugs with the loom. And I know a lot of people, for peace of mind, will replace the loom, but you don't have to do that if it's still working, if it's fine. It's the best option to replace them, but if you want to save some money and you're worried about the plugs, with the clips, all you have to do is unclip. You may have heard a little snap there. Put a flathead screwdriver into this front lip, and then you just turn the screwdriver, and that will make the plug come off without you holding it, pulling on it, and breaking the clip, breaking the snout, or even pulling out other parts. And so that's what you do if you do want to take it off. But if you're just changing the plugs, you don't have to do that. You can literally just grab the coils, release the suction, and then you can actually just bring them out. And that's it. You can bring both sets out, flip them, and so long as you're happy that the plugs are working, that maybe they've been removed recently, a few years ago, and the contacts are all good, and you don't need to be cleaning them, you don't need to touch them. But if you ever do, the screwdriver trick works the best. These actually, if you can see, this one has had the clip has been broken straight off, so that's already been done. So I got nothing to clip anymore. But if I want to remove it, you just jiggle your screwdriver left and right, and then it'll come off without any force being applied, because that's broken there. This one's broken at the clip, but it's also broken down to the side of the rear entry of the cable. This one's broken actually on the sides of the snout. So it's, yeah. And there's nothing wrong with them, like they're still connecting. I've had looms where the whole plug has broken off and I've just reconnected the 3 pieces, but that's dodgy and you don't really want to be doing that. These are all in good enough condition to be working, but the more you manhandle them, the more that they're going to break. And just to show the other side, there it is, flipped. I haven't pulled any of the plugs off of the Coilpacks. Now I have full access to the spark plugs. Now you can do a spark plug change, flip them back in, and it's as if those plugs have never been touched. Because as I showed, when people touch them, 28, 30-year-old plugs do not like to be handled basically at all. And this will hopefully save you some money, and I mean, maybe this will give some tips to people, even if you have new equipment, new plugs, better ways to handle it with the screwdriver trick and such. Now with the plugs that are in this car, I would have recommended BCPR 6ES or BKR 6E. That's probably like the best that you could go for this engine, but the plugs that were available were BKR 7E, which that's what I run in my current 33's engine that's tuned to 250 kilowatt, 330 horsepower, which is not much, but I'm running 20 PSI on a bigger turbo. So I'm running BKR 7E and I gap to 0.8. So those are the plugs you want. You want copper plugs, so you don't need to go out and spend heaps of money on iridium plugs. Because copper are the best plugs that you can usually run for standard or moderately powered turbo cars, and you just change them every 10,000 kilometers. But I doubt anyone's going to be doing 10,000 kilometers in their Skyline anytime soon. I never have, but yeah. Cheapest you can go, NGK, BKR or BCPR. It's apparently the best conductor, and gap to 0.8 of a millimeter. No lower and no higher. So I'm not actually changing the plugs today. This has just been a demonstration of how to get access and look after all the coil plugs. Nice. So for plug removal, nothing to it. Just a typical 5/8 plug. Just crack it. If these have been put in correctly, once you actually crack it, it should be loose. You should not have to use your ratchet to actually get it out. And these are alloy heads, so don't over tighten. You just want to have it just a little bit above hand tight, that you're happy with it, but not that you're trying to rip up trees with the amount of force you're giving it. And there we go, plugs out. And when putting them back in, just make sure to be careful when you put them back in, that nothing falls into the cylinder, and that you don't manhandle the way that you drop in the socket because I don't know if I had a dodgy plug one time, but I think the socket went in a bit wrong and the ceramic just straight cracked in half. So just be careful when you put them in, and like I said, just don't over tighten them. It's an alloy head and you can strip the threads.